Welcome back to MCOC Al Bundy Rules. Got a brand new buff that came out today, Mr. Fantastic. So before I start the tutorial, let me show you a little bit of highlight clips on what he can do. Based on stacking those debuffs, can do some pretty dang good damage. Those are just regular basic attacks going on right there. When you use them right, I'm going to show you how to build them up like that. Very just matter of stacking debuffs and certain rotations and ways I'll show you. If you use some synergy, you can just melt away. Look at that damage over time. That's what the Fantastic Force Synergy can build up the debuffs and just let them melt themselves away. Pretty nice one there. And something else that's really good on Mr. Fantastic, see a little bit of, is right over here. Kinshizi's Regen fights, like this is ROL Wolverine. This is an R1 5-star. Look at the ranking up there at 3,971, destroying this fight right here because he's able to stack those pre-fight abilities, get 3 of those petrify going on, and just lets Wolverine melt himself. Let's get into the tutorial now. Passive abilities. We have the physical energy resistance, 5% chance to evade for non-damaging debuffs. So the more debuffs you got on him, look at Mr. Fantastic just dancing around, and the attack rating increases. So stacking the debuffs is good. I'm going to show you how to do it. It makes it easier for you to automatically evade, as well as it builds up the power, and you're seeing some good attack coming on up over here, and that passive based on those debuffs is a lot of where that's coming from. A little more to it as I'm going to show, but that definitely plays a role. 26,000 heavy right there. Nothing fancy. So pre-fight's a big thing, and the good thing when you do the pre-fight correctly, you can use these on every single fight. You start off with 4, you can use up to 3. Use all 3 between the petrify the opponent, the suppress, decreasing their defensive power control, and debuff siphon the opponent, increasing potency of damage over time debuff. So those are the main ones. Big thing is you have to end the fight with the debuffs, and as long as you do, you just keep them going the whole fight, ending with the debuffs. You can use them every fight. So you start with 4 persistent, you gain 1. When Mr. Fantastic finishes the fight, he gains a persistent charge for each unique debuff. So you have those 3 debuffs. You start with the next one with those 3 debuffs back. These debuffs last for 15 seconds, but you can keep refreshing them. And you're going to see me always, I never have the fight going on where I don't have the debuffs up, other than actually pretty much never, with rare exceptions. You just do heavy attacks. You see as they're getting ready to go down, you do the heavy, and it refreshes them, and then you can also add on by S2. So combination of heavies and S2s, I'm going to show in a rotation later, is what keeps that going. Again, we see these pre-fight ability right there, clicking on those. But let me get into later on in a fight with Wolverine. So you got 3 of these pre-fights, so I've stacked them using S2s, 2 sets of S2 stacks these pre-fight abilities, and watch how it just completely melts away Wolverine right on over here. And you see how it gets the reverse regeneration. Again, this is just the R1 5-star going on right here, and it makes what could be a tricky fight sometimes rather easily. So even a rank 1 Mr. Fantastic makes that fight easy. The careful study debuff. So here, see, careful study lowers the attack rate of each hit in the special by 25%. All copies debuffs are purified when they do the next special. So if you want to build them up, easiest to just keep baiting the S1. Because if they go to S2, it's going to reset it. Beat the S1 a few times, and you'll have that set on. And as we'll see, we can get those, said those also transfer if I don't finish the fight. But the careful study cross fight ability, when the opponent has 3 copies of that, they are combined into a pass that lasts for the rest of the fight, and the next 5 fights the opponent participates in. Meaning, if I take out my Mr. Fantastic here, gets knocked out, next person I'm bringing to finish the fight is going to have this. So you got that cross fight ability. Another person can finish it up. So let's get into special. Special 1, 100% chance to get the taunt debuff and stagger debuff. So you can go ahead and nullify those buffs on some of these champs. Opponents are taunted out of their attack rating reduced. So it's a good way to get those specials out easier when you're taunting them. So taunt and stagger are both very nice abilities that can help you quite a bit. course, stopping those buffs, and of course, getting those specials out. And here we saw those S1s. Now let's get into the S2. This is key into keeping those pre-fight debuffs going on. So these help you stack them. You start off with one each of the three when you do the pre-fight debuffs. After the S2 goes up to 2, watch the next S2 will go to 3. You can max them up to 3. The last hit also causes a shock. So we're going to see when I do another S2 coming on up, it's going to get me up to S3. So really you just do all 3 pre-fight abilities, use heavies to keep them fresh so they don't run out. Do 2 S2s and you'll be maxed out. Keep doing heavies to get them through the rest of the fight, and you will start the next fight with those. Here you've seen how Black Panther's been updated in ROL, by the way, from the new buff. So keep that in mind if you haven't done ROL yet. You're going to have the new Black Panther on your hands. It's fair warning. Now we have Special 3. If the opponent has at least 1 debuff, you gain a passive fury. So if you're using Mr. Fantastic, even half decent, you're always going to have debuffs going on. You do that S3, you get 20 seconds. So this is going to be part of rotation. I'm going to show in the tips section coming up. Really, it's going to be a combination of S2 and S3. When I find a good rotation, especially for a suicide aspect. From recoil, you saw a good amount of damage on the S3. We see we have the debuffs up, so I'm getting the extra power. Now I got the fury going. So when you combine the debuffs, that extra attack rating from those with the fury combined, you're seeing some of these strong basic attacks I'm getting in those heavy attacks doing a lot of damage. So it's combining the debuffs, attack rating, along with the fury. His signature ability, my highest, is a 4-star with the awoke. So here's a little bit of the 4-star. Offensive combat power rate is increased by 40%. Each careful study passive on the opponent, and gains additional flat 20% to evade any unblockable attack. So I have him as 5 and 6-star, but they're not awoke, so you're not seeing that quicker power. If you get him awoke at the higher levels, he's going to be even way more powerful than the ones you were seeing with my unawoke 6-star. But to give you an idea on what to expect on the power gain, I've seen a little bit of a woke on those abilities. Some of the tips for use, I got a few of them. Number 1, use petrify debuff and stack them to destroy Greg and champs. Again, you do that. This is an R1 5-star. So all you got to do is start off with the pre-fight abilities, use heavies to keep them refresh, do 2 S2s, get up to 3, keep the heavies going, and they're just going to melt away. So fights like this ROL, who's infamously rough regeneration, is just going to melt himself. Other fights where you see regeneration difficulties, very easy. Like I said, it's very easy to keep Mr. Fantastic going if you are running suicides. Like myself with recoil, it just takes 2 S2s to get it going, 5% recoil each, so 10% per fight to max them out. After that, you can just run S3s, which I'm about to show. So I want to call him super suicide friendly, but I would call him pretty dang close, because after you get those 2 S2s again, you don't have to worry about S1s or S2s anymore in most of the fights. Including this one right here. I got him in. I can just keep resetting them, as you see with those heavies right there. And that allows him just to melt himself away. And you see Mr. Fantastic is another new counter to a growing list of ones that destroy this Wolverine. And like I said, this is just an R1 5-star. Look how easy. If I'd used my 6-star, would have been way easier, right? Tip 2, use all 3 pre-fights and do a 2 S2 to max out. Use heavies to refresh. Again, don't worry about running out of pre-fights. As long as you follow these tips I'm showing you, you're never going to run out of pre-fights. I'll be maxed out at 9 at the end of most fights, because I am ending my fights with all my debuffs. So you keep them debuffs up the whole fight and end them to be able to activate every fight again. For each unique one, you get 1 back. So I might have used 3 pre-fight to get them started, but I'm going to end with 3 as well. Or if I end up with more, if I actually have more debuffs up, I can actually end with more. Sometimes I might end with 4 or 5. Way more than I'm ever going to need. So it's just simple, get them going, use the pre-fights, don't be shy with them, keep them active. If for some reason my timer was to run out, you just weren't paying attention, forgot to launch a heavy or an S2, and they go away, just make sure to launch another S2 before the fight is over, because you want to end the fight with them. It's important to end the fight with them, otherwise you might run out during your quest. You follow these simple steps, you're not going to run out during the quest. Tip 3, good rotation that I like is get those 3 pre-fights going on. You're going to do 2 S2s, because that's going to get you the 9 debuffs up there, which gives you the more attack, more evade as well. And then you're going to spam special 3s for Fury. So I got the debuffs up there. So I'm going to get that extra attack from having so many debuffs. Now, especially running recoil, I like to go to S3. It's going to give me that 20 seconds of Fury. So keep in mind I have a lot of debuffs now. That extra attack rating. Now I'm getting even more attack rating from the Fury. And I'm going to do some pretty darn good damage here. So now we're seeing also have some synergy there to where he's getting some damage over time based on the Fantastic Four synergy. So you see him kind of melting himself away. So if he makes things out, he can bring great synergies to other people. I'm going to show that in a moment, and some can bring them to him as well. And there's a good example. So here's synergies. So Fantastic Four, we've had 20% at the start of the fight, 10% max health over 6 seconds. That's a good one there for those. If you have all 4 of these champs, he gets the massive things, including for Mr. Fantastic, each unique debuff on the opponent take 4% of the current attack rating as direct damage per second. That's what he was seeing in that last fight when they were doing about, 1,400 a tick because of that synergy right there. They do great stuff for the other Fantastic Four as well. Has quite a few with Miss Invisible Woman there. Debuffs last 25% longer. You can actually stack Mr. Fantastics here for 30% for each other Mr. Fantastic. You just want to have a whole team of Mr. Fantastics, so you're going to get your attack way on up there. So some interesting mechanics here. You see Doom over here. Can give Doom some good benefits, but also gives some good benefits to Mr. Fantastic. Here, Cosmic and Skill. You can give them all basic hits. Pause on each buff for 0.2 seconds. Tech and Science can get that indefinite power sting, dealing the direct damage of 60% of the attack. Can stack it up to 3 times, and Mutant and Mystic champions can regain 5% of power on special attacks. So you get that synergy, and there you go. So pretty impressive stuff right there. And I'm hoping you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to click that top left button and subscribe to MCOC Al Bundy Rules. Thanks for watching.